And then there's the kicker. Did you know that a single falling apple could be the secret to mastering the laws of money and power? Or are you still waiting for luck to knock on your door? Today we are revealing how Isaac Newton's paranoid mind didn't just decode the universe, but created a ruthless survival manual that will transform your mediocrity into an unshakable legacy.
If you stay until the end, I'll hand you the master key Newton used to emerge from a lonely quarantine and become the most powerful man in the British economy, something no finance course will ever tell you. Do you have the guts to find out if you're a follower of the laws or the architect who writes them? Or will you keep being just another extra in your own life?
Look, Karen, let's start with the obvious. Isaac Newton didn't have one of those winner mindsets you buy in a digital marketing course. The guy was the master of obsessive discipline, the kind who locked himself in a room to flee the plague and ended up inventing calculus, gravity, and optics just to kill time. While Gen Z complains that the Wi-Fi is down, Newton used resilience to poke a needle into his own eye just to understand how light worked, literally a level of self-awareness that hurts just to imagine. He had such an absurd focus that he forgot to eat, proving that his purpose wasn't about being famous, but about decoding the universe's source code.
Indeed, Daniel, he was the peak of the growth mindset, but with a bonus of paranoia and isolation that would give any therapist today an academic orgasm. His creativity didn't come from colorful brainstorming sessions, but from a dense spirituality and a search for inspiration that most people can't even conceive. Newton didn't wait for inspiration, he whipped it with hours of study and solitude, which is a hell of an example that success is 1% genius and 99% having no social life. If you want to apply this today, stop following those productivity gurus and watch The Imitation Game or read Guns, Germs, and Steel to understand how isolation and focus change the world.
Speaking of isolation, Karen, don't you think all this transformation only happened because he was such an antisocial prick? Today, everyone defends collaborative work, but Newton proved that if you want something truly disruptive, you need fewer Zoom meetings and more quality time with your own brain. It's the eternal debate. Does progress come from the solitary genius or the peace and love collective? I bet on the grumpy genius who isn't afraid to be optimistic about his own ideas, even if the rest of the world thinks he's crazy. And you guys in the comments, do you think forced home office is the new great plague that will breed geniuses or just more TikTok addicts?
Daniel, your vision is so polarized it's almost cute, but you forget that Newton's awakening also came from a solid theoretical base. He didn't pull gravity out of a hat. He had the mental enabling to connect a falling apple with the moon's motion, something that requires a massive provision of knowledge. For today's youth, the tip is simple. Use tools like Notion or Obsidian to create a second brain and stop trusting that goldfish memory of yours. The secret to Newton's mindset was depth, not screen scroll speed.
Depth that almost drove him insane, by the way, as his resilience was tested by constant nervous breakdowns. He was a textbook case for the Big Five, neuroticism through the roof, and a conscientiousness that bordered on criminal. But that's the price of progress, right? If you want to leave an icon in history, you can't be a Buddhist monk all the time. Now, get ready, because if the guy's internal side was a mess, the way he dealt with other people was a literal battlefield, and Karen is going to love detailing how he gently destroyed his rivals. If you think your boss is tough, it's because you've never tried to chat with Isaac. The guy had the communication skills of a porcupine on a rainy day. He didn't use persuasion to convince people. He used logic to crush them like insects. Newton had no patience for collaboration or that group brainstorming nonsense companies love today. To him, leadership was intellectual. Either you accepted he was the ultimate icon of science, or he deleted you from history. Just ask Robert Hooke. The guy had the audacity to question the master and ended up as a footnote, with Newton allegedly making the rival's only portrait disappear. That's what I call OG canceling.
Geez, Daniel, you focus too much on the chaos. The truth is that his proactivity in defending his ideas was a raw form of empathy towards scientific truth. He had no time for active listening to nonsense. But look at this. When he took over the Royal Mint, he showed relentless negotiation. He disguised himself to frequent taverns and hunt down counterfeiters. Imagine the genius of gravity playing CSI London detective. He used legal persuasion to send guys to the gallows without mercy. If you want to learn how to deal with difficult people today, watch Peaky Blinders to understand about imposing respect, or read How to Connect in Business in 90 Seconds or Less, though Newton would probably convince you in 2 seconds by calling you ignorant.
Ah, the old do as I say or suffer the consequences tactic. Newton was the master of power leveraging. He didn't need social media, but if he had a Twitter, he'd be the king of shade. He used written communication to create an aura of untouchability. And here's the polarizing debate Gen Z loves. What's worth more today? The fluffy, emotional intelligence of someone who knows how to work in a team but produces nothing disruptive? Or the toxic genius who delivers the key to the universe but no one can stand for 5 minutes at the coffee machine? I prefer the grumpy guy who solves the problem. What about you? Do you prefer an incompetent best friend boss, or a Newton who makes you cry but makes you rich and famous in the process? Let us know in the comments if your team results at any cost or team mental health first.
Daniel, don't be binary. The point is that the stimulus Newton gave to science came from his inability to accept error. He wasn't good at collaboration, but he was excellent at setting standards that everyone else had to follow. That's a type of social enabling, even if involuntary. For young people who want to grow, the lesson here is you don't have to be the nicest person in the room, but you have to be the most indispensable. Use management tools like Trello or Jira to organize your workflow, but remember that the best communication is still a flawless delivery that leaves no room for doubt. Newton didn't debate, he presented evidence.
And evidence that lasts for centuries, Karen. He turned persuasion into an exact science. But make no mistake, his social isolation took a heavy toll on his personality. He was the guy who saw conspiracies everywhere. That lack of active listening almost isolated him completely from the Royal Society. He only wasn't canceled because, well, he was Isaac Newton, and you don't cancel gravity. Now, if you think his behavior with people was heavy, wait until we talk about this man's sense of ethics and character in the next topic. He was the judge, jury, and executioner, literally. Karen, if you think Newton was just a laboratory nerd, get ready for a character shock. The guy didn't just have ethics, he had a morbid obsession with justice. When he became master of the mint, he didn't just sit in a comfy chair, he acted with relentless responsibility, hunting counterfeiters like they were the devil himself. Newton believed in absolute integrity, where the law was as immutable as gravity. He didn't take bribes, didn't do favors, and had zero transparency with crime. He wanted the system purified, even if he had to send dozens to the gallows to do it.
It's the old story, Daniel. The guy had a moral compass so rigid it was scary. Justice for him was mathematical, with no room for feelings. He saw integrity as the bedrock of society, something that looks like a luxury item on LinkedIn these days. Newton had a character forged in absolute truth, which made him a terrible judge, but an efficient guardian of the British economy. If you want to understand the weight of moral choices, watch In Time to see how systems deal with scarcity, or read Plato's The Republic. Newton was the philosopher king who wasn't afraid to get his hands dirty to maintain the ethics of the state.
Get his hands dirty? The guy loved the power that responsibility brought. He used his position to exercise total dominance. It's the classic debate. Do you prefer a leader who is a model of kindness but lets the system collapse, or an executioner with unquestionable integrity who puts the house in order through fear? People talk a lot about humanization today, but Newton proved that sometimes what maintains justice is an iron fist. What do you think? Should a judge have compassion or be a law-applying machine like Master Isaac? Let us know in the comments. Team Justice with Mercy or Team The Law is the Law?
Daniel, your bloodlust is impressive, but you ignore that Newton's transparency was with scientific and economic truth. He wasn't cruel for sport. He was a man of character who understood that a country's currency is its honor. For young people wanting success today, the tip is your word needs to be worth as much as a signed contract. In today's digital world, use tools like electronic signatures, DocuSign, and blockchain to ensure the integrity of your transactions. But
But remember that no technology replaces your personal ethics when no one is watching.
Moral of the story, don't counterfeit coins if the greatest genius in history is in charge of the bank. Newton's responsibility was so great that he turned the Royal Mint into a prestigious global institution. He didn't just follow the law, he personified it with a justice that admitted no shadows. But stay tuned, because all this moral rigidity served as the foundation for something even bigger, the financial success and the legacy he left for the world, which is what we'll see in the results topic. Get ready, because Isaac wasn't just brain and morals, he also knew how to make money and fame grow. Karen, Newton didn't just discover how the world works, he discovered how money works. The guy died rich, investing in stocks and managing the Royal Mint with a level of productivity that would make any hedge fund manager weep. He wasn't just chasing academic success, he wanted a legacy that was unshakable. The result? The whole world today uses his laws to launch satellites and build skyscrapers. If that isn't global prosperity and recognition, I don't know what is. The guy turned pure knowledge into real power and influence.
Exactly, Daniel. He understood that the true sustainability of an idea lies in its applicability. Newton didn't just leave formulas, he left the foundation for the Industrial Revolution. His multiplying of knowledge allowed humanity to take an unprecedented technological leap. He is the ultimate icon of intellectual independence. For young people wanting results today, the lesson is stop chasing likes and start seeking investment in real assets and knowledge that doesn't expire. Read The Intelligent Investor or study complex systems to understand how to create progress that lasts for generations.
But let's get controversial. Newton made a lot, but he also lost a fortune in the South Sea bubble. Even the genius of gravity fell for a financial pyramid. This opens the debate. Is financial prosperity luck or strategy? He said he could calculate the movement of stars, but not the madness of people. Nowadays, people jump into crypto and NFTs expecting easy earning. Are we smarter than Newton or just braver in our ignorance? Let us know in the comments. Do you think financial success today depends more on intelligence or being in the right hype?
He might have lost money there, but his income and wealth growing throughout his life were enviable because he had discipline. He didn't rely on a single source, he was a polymath. The developing he brought to science is the greatest dividend humanity has ever received. For those who want to apply this now, use financial management apps like Mobiles or TradeMap to track your assets, but never forget to diversify as the master tried to do. Increasing your market value depends on how much you can solve problems that no one else can.
In the end, Newton's legacy is what remains when the dust settles. He wasn't just a scientist, he was the architect of modernity. His recognition has crossed centuries and will continue as long as there's an apple falling somewhere. He proved that the leveraging of the intellect is the most powerful tool in the universe. Now that we've closed the results, we need to talk about how it all began, because the introduction to this story is as impactful as a 9.8 meters per second squared fall. So that's it, folks. The moral of the story is that Newton wasn't some saint waiting for an apple to fall. He was a lion hunting the truth with a thirst that bordered on madness. If he managed to master physics and economics starting from absolute zero, what's your excuse today? Are you going to keep being a mere spectator of other people's lives? Or are you going to take responsibility for your own success?
The question left for you is, how is your self-knowledge doing? Do you have the discipline of a Newton, or do you get distracted by every social media notification? We want to know, if you could have his genius but had to live in total isolation, would you take it? Comment below and let us know which city you're watching this video from on your phone or TV.
Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next profile that will blow your mind. And hey, if you want a physical reminder that focus builds empires, the link to buy your Legos and other exclusive products is in the first pinned comment. Stop procrastinating and go build your legacy.